Japanese matcha tea and Japanese tea ceremony. The two hosts for today, they are exactly 12 hours apart from each other. It's evening time for Japan, for Tarumi-chan, and it's early morning time for Judit, who's living in South America at the moment. Despite they are 12 hours apart from each other, they have one common passion in common. That's their love for tea. Judith and Tarumi-chan, I'm gonna ask you one simple question before you start the session. Judith, why you are fascinated by tea?
Oh, that's actually a hard question.
Hard question.
Because it's so much to say. Well, I love tea because it's natural, it's coming from nature, it has a huge variety, and I love the feeling I have when I have a cup of tea in my hand, and also the flavor and the smell. Just it's like a whole experience for me.
You saw it. So Tarumi-chan, can I ask you then, what makes you interested in tea? You need to unmute yourself, Tarumi-chan. we can't hear you at the moment. You need to somehow figure it out.
How about now?
Perfect.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Behind, I like the philosophy or spiritual aspect behind the tea, and also I also really like the tea after dinner or lunch. I don't know. When I was small, I really like to drink tea, so I really serve tea to my family. There is no reason. I simply like to serve tea to everybody actually.
And today you are having the opportunity to serve tea to all of us over Zoom or over the world. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So the flow today is we'll have Judith to spend 15 minutes to talk about a particular tea, matcha tea. And then we will have a kind of interactive around the world tea session for 10 minutes. So if you want, you can talk about from where you're from, your favorite tea sets, and interesting facts about your tea. And then Tarumi will spend the 30 minutes to tell us history and the philosophy behind Japanese tea ceremony, and she will do a demo of Japanese tea ceremony as well. So that's all very exciting. And shall I invite Judith to start now?
Hi everyone, welcome to this culture quiz about mainly matcha tea. Thanks for taking the time to learn something new. I'm going to talk about matcha. I already prepared some of my utensils that we're going to talk about it also. This matcha tea bowl is from Japan. I already had another one, but I broke it accidentally because I left it in my luggage, which was a very bad idea. But anyway, I have a really nice one now. And just before we start, I would like to ask you to put in the chat box if you ever heard about matcha before. Have you ever tasted before? Just to have like a general idea if, you know, like you have any experience with it, or you just know that it's something that's green tea.
Yeah, it's green. So Gary from the US said no experience whatsoever.
Okay.
Joanna said she has a box of matcha and a whiskey set at home. Yes. Several people said they have had a green tea, but didn't know it's matcha tea. And
okay,
the ice cream as well, green tea ice cream.
Okay, that's amazing. I love that. There's a lot of varieties here. Okay, then I start my screen sharing, and then we're gonna learn a bit more desktop. Oops. Sorry, there's something technical that I didn't know I need to set up.
I prepared a Kit Kat, which has to do with matcha because I heard in UK we can only find original Kit Kat flavor, but I heard in Japan a lot of people's favorite Kit Kat is matcha flavor Kit Kat. Is it true? I want to ask people. Okay, from yes, from maybe I can. So somehow. Okay, now it's better without echo. We are waiting for Judith to come in to share her slides. While we're waiting, I think Judith is back to the room. Hopefully things will set up properly when she joins. Hi Judith, good to have you back. Technical.
Sorry, that yeah. My computer is a bit crazy, but I just updated, so probably that's why it does all this craziness. Okay, let's talk about matcha. There you go. So first, before we talk about just matcha itself, I would like to introduce to you to the main categories of Japanese teas, because when it comes to matcha, the best quality, it's coming from Japan. And I would just like to give you a better understanding, like what other different green teas there are in Japan and why matcha is special and different from them. Obviously, there's like a lot of varieties, but we consider the 6 main group of green teas in Japan. The first one is sencha. This is the most common grade of green tea actually in Japan. They actually, it's like 70% of the total tea production in Japan, it's sencha. So the main one that you can find it, and also they export it all over the world. So you probably had that before. The second one is gain matcha. It looks a bit weird, right? Like there's something in there. It's not just tea leaf. Yeah. It's actually sencha leaves, and it's mixed with toasted and puffed rice. So in the word, sometimes they call it popcorn tea because of that. You might wonder why they mixed it with rice. That's actually because it used to be the drink of poor people. So they had the sencha, but it was a bit expensive, so they wanted to find a way to make it last longer. So that's why they mixed it with this toasted and puffed rice. By the way, it gives a really good flavor. It has a tiny bit of cereal taste to it. And nowadays it's very popular in Japan. It's not anymore the poor people's drink, that's for sure. And we have third, the kukicha. That one also looks tiny bit different because it's not just sencha leaves or yokuro leaves, but they also mix it with stems. That would give us an idea that maybe it's not a really good, like not a premium tea, because like why it has stems in it, but actually it's a really nice tasty tea that's a bit lighter. And because of the stems don't have that much caffeine content in them. That's why it's a lighter tea you can enjoy throughout the whole day, because it doesn't have that stimulant property to it. There's three more that I want to talk about. There's the hojicha, which looks also a bit strange. It has this brown color. You wouldn't think that it's a green tea, but it's actually a green tea. It's a roasted green tea that gives this special, like, nice brown color, and also this like nutty, a bit woody flavor. But it's really beautiful. I really suggest to try it out. That one also has a bit less caffeine, so you can enjoy it throughout the day. It's really common in Japan that they serve your meal with a nice cup of hojicha. The breakfast also, it's an amazing tea. It's one of my favorite, actually. And there's Gyokuro. My Gyokuro is one of Japan's most precious and expensive tea. It has a really nice, really beautiful purity, richness taste to it. And what makes it special that they only harvest it once a year. That's what also makes it one of the most expensive green tea in Japan.
Wow.
Also really nice to try. And then the last one is matcha, our superhero today, that we're going to talk much more later. Well, matcha has a unique taste with umami flavor that we call the fifth taste. And it cannot be compared to any other tea that is produced in the whole world. It's just really beautiful. It has this really nice, like, super fine powder texture. Sometimes we confuse it that it's like some green tea that they just make like it's an instant powder, but it's totally different because they actually they ground down the whole leaf of the tea that now we're going to talk about more, and you're going to understand what is happening behind the scenes when it comes to matcha. So what's already special about the growing process of the matcha, that they grow it in the shade. Now you see that on the top of these plants, there's this large cloth that is spread directly over them, and it avoids the light to get directly on the matcha leaves. So what happens when the matcha doesn't get that as much light than usual tea plants? It stresses out actually the tea bush. So if these matcha leaves could speak, they probably would scream for more light because they don't get too much. But with that process, actually they are not able to photosynthesize, and that's why that creates more L-theanine that later we're going to talk about what is it and why it's good for us. Also, because of that, there's less tannin developed in the tea, which usually gives that bitter taste to the tea. So we don't have that in matcha. Okay, that gives also a sweet taste to it. So after 88 days, they start the harvest, and first they steam the plants for 20 seconds on a really high temperature. And then we get this aracha that you see on the left side. It means rough tea in Japanese, which we can say it looks quite rough. After that, they refine it. They remove the stems and also the veins from it. So we get this like really just the good parts of the matcha tea. Oh, sorry, I got a bit excited.
Looks like seaweed.
Yeah, it looks a bit weird, right? But this is only really like the good part of the matcha. All the other parts are removed from it. Mm-hmm. And we only have then the really good part, the juicy nutrient parts of the tea.
Wow.
And what's really good after that they grind it down to like this really fine powder. But what's the really exciting, I think, for me, that process is actually really time consuming. Just to make one tin of matcha, that's usually 20 to 40 grams, it needs 1 hour of grinding just to make this one small tin. That probably gives you an idea why matcha is really special and also is a bit higher price than most of the other teas. So let's see about matcha production a bit. So every year in Japan, they produce 3,000 tons, which sounds a bit like, ooh, it's quite a high number, but it's only like 0.06% of all teas produced globally. So not that much, but still, it's really great. To make 1 kilogram of ground fine powder matcha, they actually use 6 kilograms of fresh green leaves. Just to compare it to a normal green tea, we need usually 4 kilograms to make 1 kilo. The main producing areas of matcha are obviously in Japan. One of them is Uji in Kyoto Prefecture, and the other one is Nishio in Aichi Prefecture. Every year, they sell actually 2,550 tons of matcha in Japan. So now you see, first I said there's 3,000 tons of matcha produced in Japan, and 2,550 it's sold in Japan. That means that only 10% of Japanese matcha is exported currently. But as we know, we see it everywhere more and more in the world, that demand is increasing rapidly. So I wouldn't be surprised that in the next years, these numbers would change dramatically. Let's talk about why matcha is a superfood, because it's considered a superfood. First of all, it's because of the nutrients. As I said, the stems and the stalks are removed from the plant, so we only get this really juicy, packed with nutrients part. So whenever you drink that, you get tons of benefits from it. The way it's drunk, it's different than from other teas, because if you think about it, when you make a normal green tea, you usually toss the plant leaves in the end. You don't chew them. In the end, you just have the drink, the water from it. So just to compare to that, like for example, if we would just cook spinach in the water, we would toss it into the trash, we would just drink the cooking water. That obviously gives us a bit of nutrients, but it's not as the same when we have the spinach leaves, we eat them. So again, what it happens, we have the whole plant of the green tea, and that's grinded down and we drink it. So like the whole tea leaf is actually consumed.
I see. Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool, right? And there's the other thing is the green tea flavonoids. The flavonoids, there's a lot of studies why it's good for us, why it helps to our body. They also act like antioxidants. They can help inhibit cancer growth. They are good in terms of lowering the blood pressure and cholesterol. So there's something to look into, and there's another reason to consume matcha. It's really great for us. And just to have another comparison, because I know a lot of people consume black tea. Black tea also has this catechin, these flavonoids, but it only has about 3 to 10%. In the meantime, green tea, matcha especially, has 30 to 40% contains of catechins. So now you can see compared to the same, the two are just very different. We get a lot more from green tea. And the other one is L-theanine, that I already talked about it, that because of the shading growing process, we have a lot more L-theanine in a green tea, which gives us, helps us be in a mentally relaxed state, and also helps to stop our mind from racing. So that's a really great benefit, I think so. What matcha can do for you? It can give you a dazzling skin. It it has polyphenols in it, and there's some researchers in University of Alabama found that the consumption of green tea and the polyphenols can inhibit UV radiation-induced skin damage. So it can keep your skin more young and beautiful for a long time. So that's why you should drink tea, especially green tea.
I got the feeling the consumption of green tea will go up after today's session.
Yes, I don't even have any affiliation towards green tea. It can also help with calorie burning. So like, okay, so like you, after the session, you probably go right away to the some supermarket or order from Amazon, like one, matcha. Yes, so it has lots of studies with calorie burning, that it can help induce like a calorie burning effect in the body. And also that's why they use it in a lot of slimming supplements lately. You might see that. What's really important and what for me makes matcha like really great, it helps with energy, concentration, and focus. I realized some years ago that caffeine is not really my friend. So I switched to matcha, or at first green tea, but then matcha itself, and it really helped me with concentration and focus. It especially when I already said the L-theanine and that caffeine in the green tea, they really have this balance each other a bit. So like you get that bit of stimulant, but in the meantime, the L-theanine calms you down. So you're focused, but at the same time calm. Now let's see what you need to make matcha at home. So you need a tea bowl,
Yes.
as I have as well. Obviously, you can use any kind of bowl in the beginning. What I suggest that it should be a bit deeper, because when you mix the matcha with the water, you don't want to spill that tea out. You probably need a bamboo whisk. It's not that expensive on Amazon. You can order it. But if you have, for example, an electric foamer or like one of those battery empowered whisker, that one also works as well. But the bamboo whisk creates like a special effect. It produces like, it puts like extra air into the tea, so it makes this really nice like foam on the top. Probably you saw that, or you're gonna see on some of my pictures. You're also gonna need a sifter, because even though it's really fine powder, the matcha, it can still like create like lumps when you mix it with water. So you wanna sift it through first. Let's see how to prepare matcha. There's two ways that Japanese usually make matcha. There's like a more thicker version and a lighter. I talk about the lighter one because I think most of the people like that version better. But if you get into matcha later, you can research on the other type as well. So first you want to sift the matcha through the sifter. You want to use around 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of matcha.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you need to add hot water. We don't suggest using boiling water. The best temperature is around 80 degrees Celsius. To achieve that, you can pour it first into a cup, just cool it, make it cool down for like 2-3 minutes, and then you can add that water into your bowl. And you can start to whisk for 15 seconds vigorously, making this M shape. That's how you create these beautiful bubbles, this foam on the top of the matcha. And then after that, you can drink your matcha.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a tiny bit about matcha grades. You probably see it when you look for matcha, that there's different names. There's like this culinary matcha grade or ceremonial matcha grade. So why we have these grades? If you see on the left side, we have these a bit like less green colored ones. Those are more good for culinary use. So make like matcha cakes or snacks or anything that you like cook with. You probably then don't want to use the more expensive version. Then you can use these culinary grades. But otherwise, if you have it for drinking, then you want to use ceremonial matcha, that it's more vibrant green that you can see on the right side. So there's this two that you usually see. Sometimes they say like it's a premium matcha. That it doesn't really say it like what kind of grade. It's like people just use words. So you kind of want to make sure that your matcha is really like ceremonial or either culinary, and not just using fluffy nice sentences. How to buy a good matcha? There's some of these things to consider when you want to buy matcha. It needs to come from Japan. not because we're pretentious or anything,
Not because.
but because Japan makes the best matcha, and you want to have the best matcha because then you have also the really great nutrients and the quality of tea that you pay for. You want to check where is it coming from. Even in Japan, usually these two regions that I talked about it, from Uji or Nishio. When it comes to drinking matcha, I really suggest to have ceremonial matcha. As you can see, the color that you want to go for, this vibrant green that it's on the left side. You see the powder, it just really has this deep, vibrant green color. The more dull the matcha looks, it's less good quality, unfortunately. So really go for that green color. If you can smell it, if you have the chance to smell the matcha, it should smell sweet, a bit like this vegetable fresh smell. And if you can also taste it, then it needs to be sweet and have this like umami, this like flavorful taste to it. And matcha itself has like a really distinguished taste, but it shouldn't be something that's like just unpleasant. So I'm sure that it will be a bit surprising first, but I think most of the people like it, but definitely shouldn't be something that's just like not good. So that's what you're looking for when you want to buy a matcha. And whenever you buy one, you need to store it in the fridge, avoiding sunlight, because through the whole process, they try to avoid the sunlight to keep this beautiful green color. Let's talk about matcha products. You might have seen some in the world. Terumi likes my pictures. I like them.
Yeah. I like it.
You probably see first like Kit Kat. I think that's one, for me, that was one of the first thing I saw. By the way, also, I'm not sure if it's like a Westerner thing, but like whenever back then I saw like green products, I thought that these are made from spinach. Like for me, that was just unheard of that products can contain green tea, like back then. But now I know these are all green tea products. It's nothing to do with spinach or broccoli. I'm not sure, maybe I was alone with that. So there's a lot of snacks, biscuits, chocolates, all kinds of products that you can buy that contains matcha. It's obviously great. They have all really nice flavor. I also had buckwheat noodles in Japan that had green tea in it. They're just really beautiful. What's also good about it, that with matcha you can cook and bake. So we can make donuts, cookies. You can add some to your smoothies, to your granola, to your ice cream, make pastries, and really the list could go on. I see many recipe books lately, and then they absolutely use matcha for all kinds of savory dishes as well, for like toppings, for sauce, for scrambled egg, for frittata, everything. So if you buy some matcha, you can experiment with it.
Wow.
On these pictures, you can see all the matcha products I consumed.
Good for you.
These are all my pictures. You see there's a Japanese, it was a beer that made with matcha that was really nice.
No
and
way.
There's a lot of matcha tea that I had. On the right bottom corner, there was like a beautiful like temple in Japan that they had like you could buy matcha there, and then they served it in this beautiful mug. That was just really fun. And also my buckwheat noodles on the left, you might see it. That was also really nice. And they also make liquor and all kinds of desserts, obviously, with matcha. And I think I didn't really say that, but when you make matcha, you can also mix it with some nice milk and make like a matcha latte that you probably saw in your city, country, or during your travels. It's really beautiful with some foamed milk. And what I wanted to say in the end, that thank you very much for your attention. Terumi will share a lot of other great insight about matcha. I really suggest to try it at least once and see if you like it, because I think it's just really great, something really great to have in your life. Thanks a lot.
Judith, thank you very much. It's a really comprehensive introduction about the farming, production, and health benefits, and the way you consume matcha. I think right away, when after the session, I'm gonna click on Amazon or go to a shop to get some green products. We have limited time, and we try to use 1 hour, not to take too much of everybody's time. So shall we skip the sharing session maybe and go straight to Terumi-chan?
Okay.
Terumi-chan, are you ready to start?
Yes.
History and heritage culture of Japanese matcha.
So today I like to talk about matcha, but especially the aspect of tea ceremony, which is a small ritual for Japanese, how to say, Japanese philosophy, and also actually our life is really influenced by tea ceremony. Even though we arrange flower in the house, it's kind of from tea ceremony too, from long time ago. So today I'd like to invite you to a Japanese tea ceremony in a traditional tea house.
Wow.
So please imagine, I'll show you one PowerPoint. Okay, so now you are very welcome to joining my tea ceremony. And this is the tea house. It's surrounded by a green garden, having a path leading to the tea room. This garden is called Roji. Along the path is a waiting bench for guests. Actually, can you see my face?
Yes.
And after this waiting room, there is a stone water basin near the tea house. Have you ever been to Japanese shrine? We also do the same thing to, how to say, in water basin area at shrine, we take a ladle in our right hand and pour water over left hand, and switch and pour over right hand to purify our body, actually. This means we have to leave our business or concern outside of tea house. So this is actually entrance of tea house. A small square door called Nijiriguchi. We should slide it in because the door is really small. Actually, there is one meaning why one famous tea master designed this small door. The entrance leads directly into the tea room. Once you enter you see now 2 people are sliding into the tea room, and the guy is after enter the tea room, he settle the slipper, and this is the inside of tea room. You see hanging scroll behind the guests. The hanging scroll is the message from the host. This is the main staple in the tea house. The current tea ceremony style was created by Sennorikyu, which is you see right now on your left hand side. He was in Japan about 450 years ago. Before that time, the culture of tea ceremony became very popular among rich people. It became a kind of status symbol among the royal class. They used the occasion to show their expensive tea ceremony tools. So Sennorikyu got the idea to design the entrance so small. So my first quiz is why he designed the entrance that's small.
Okay.
You
So
can choose
yes.
A, B, C.
Okay.
Answer number A, because he wanted to make everyone in the tea house equal regardless of social class. 450 years ago, we had a social class. So only rich people enjoy the tea ceremony. So he wanted everyone to enjoy tea ceremony. Is an answer number A. Answer number B is he just added a simple door after the tea house was built. This means he forgot to make a door. And answer number C, because he wanted to hide some treasure in the tea house. So he just simple make the small door.
So Karumi-chan, most
Yes.
people choose A, a few people choose B. What would be the answer?
Okay. Answer is actually A. At a small entryway, I should go back. Small entryway would force even a great general to leave his sword at the door to pass through. This means regardless of social class, which makes everyone in the equal in tea house.
So that's really nice, because doesn't matter you are very high class or low class, when you enter the tea house, you have to leave your status behind. You are equal when you do tea ceremony. That's a very good message.
So you can see here, it's a sword stand actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just said we have to purify ourselves before entering the tea house. Means we have to leave all our business outside of the tea room.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And next. So this is the hanging scroll. The message is mostly from Zen, which are sought by Buddhist message and influenced by Zen philosophy. There are, the tea house was mostly built by Zen monk or by daimyo, which is a high class of samurai. And this is a simple message, literally means every day is a good day. But actually it has a deeper meaning. This is one of Zen message. And actual meaning is the day, which is good or bad, is a day which won't be repeated. So we have to live from all our, we have to live from our soul. Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that.
It's such a special message. So it doesn't matter if it's good day or a bad day.
Bad
It's a
day. It's
So
a
we need
day.
to open our heart to experience it.
Mm.
So same with
Yeah.
this year. Maybe 2020 doesn't matter if it's a good
Yeah.
year or bad year.
Yes.
It's a year for us to experience with our full heart.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for your additional explanation. And I wanted to ask you, what is Zen? Because Zen is a very familiar sound for Japanese, but not many people knows what is Zen. So I researched something. The Buddha is a founder of Buddhism, and also he is a philosopher and spiritual teacher. And Dharma, which is he is Dharma, actually Indian. He is a father of Zen. He focused on conceptual framework of introducing and explaining Buddhism thought, which has to be personally understood. This means the Zen is important to every human being, I think. So actually, he taught 4 teachings, but most one of them is touch your heart. I think touch your heart is easy to understand about Zen. But even though touch your heart is difficult to understand, yeah, it's something very important for human being. Like just now I said the every day is a good day.
Yes.
Yeah. And there are many Zen message actually. They're very simple, but it has deeper meaning for everybody, I think. So yeah.
We
So
all
Dharma.
go ahead.
Sorry, Yunji?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. And this is a tea house. Actually, I joined this tea ceremony. And just now, Judit, she explained everything about the tea leaves. And she also talked about the lighter tea, lighter matcha. This is thick tea actually. Thick tea is a very strong consistency, really thick.
Thick
So not many people like to drink the thick tea, but still we enjoy to drink thick tea in special event. I actually drink thick tea just 3 times a year. And this is thin tea. And finished. Okay, so now I like to show you how to whisk matcha.
Yes.
Is that
That's
okay?
great. Yes.
So usually for thin tea, we serve one by one. But today, please imagine to be served one bowl of tea. Okay.
ありがとう。
はい。how to say? Is that okay? Can you see?
Yes, we can see very well.
Something like this. Okay. Inside of this container has tea powder. Okay. And this is tea whisk. And this is teaspoon. So 1 scoop is about 1 gram. So for thin tea, I scoop 2 gram. So this means 2 scoop. One gram, 2 gram. And very simple actually. This is hot water. And whisking. So first we whisk something like this and cut into small bubble. And make 1 circle and pour it. And this is front. Usually we avoid front to express the humility. So can you see the tea?
Yes.
So go ahead. This is
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
Hi. This is all about it today. My session.
Oh, thank you so much. This is
Thank you.
wonderful collaboration between the two of you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
about
you.
the product, the history, and the ceremony itself. We learned so many new things today. Anybody who has questions, this is the perfect time to grab attention from these two ladies. If you have questions, feel free.
I have a question.
Please, Wilma.
Is there a machine that you can use to make matcha?
Machine?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you can. Can I answer? I think you can use the whisking machine. I mean you mean right?
Yeah, does it
Automatic-
come in pods that you can use a Keurig coffee pot to make it?
Oh,
Actually,
I
there
think you
is
can buy.
Yeah, there
You
is
can
a
buy.
special machine for matcha in Japan.
so
I grew up drinking tea, but it was iced tea, and I had drank tea all my life, and I didn't know that people made hot tea.
oh yes, because you come from the south part of the US, it's very hot. So
Yes,
iced tea is more common.
we consumed a lot of iced tea, and it was always sweet. We always put sugar in the tea,
Yes.
and ice and sugar.
So is aspen the type of leaf?
Yeah, it's made from a leaf. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Great.
But
And
that's the only way I knew people would drink tea. I couldn't even conceive of drinking hot tea.
You can also, by the way, prepare matcha in a cold. Like you can make like a cold matcha, and you can even use a blender or anything you have. So definitely you can do it the cold way.
yeah.
Great.
If you
Thank
don't
you.
have
Thank
the matcha bowl, you can use a cafe latte bowl or any bowl actually. Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
buy this tea bowl, I think.
Well, there are bowls made in Mississippi, and I'll show you one sometimes that
Yeah,
it's
yes,
called
yes.
Mississippi mud. And
Mm.
I was reminded of those bowls when you were talking about this.
Yes. So Helen has a question. She asked, did you say to keep it in the fridge? I imagine the matcha tea leaf. So we have to keep it in the fridge?
Yes, they suggest to do that because the heat and the direct sunlight is not good for the tea, and you can preserve that green, that beautiful freshness if you put it in the fridge.
I see. So there are a few comments here. And I also want to invite Mike because Jeremy was interested in British tea culture. So I invite Mike to bring something from Britain about tea. Mike.
Oh, okay. So can you see that?
Yes.
So that's my grandfather's tea caddy, and it's got a lock on it because in the 19th century, tea was very rare and scarce in Britain. And certainly if you were reasonably wealthy, then you had a lock on your tea caddy to stop the servants from stealing your tea. And it's a double tea caddy, so it's got two lids there, one for morning tea, one for afternoon tea, and that's a little tea caddy spoon there that you use for taking the tea out, so you can get exactly 1 teaspoonful with each spoon. So yeah, I still have that and I still use it, and I still think of my grandparents when I drink tea from this tea caddy.
So that's Mike's set, and I want to show my Chinese tea set as well. I have it beside me. It's in a way, there are aspects which is similar to Japanese tea culture. So we will actually put the leaves in the pot and pour in boiling water. Then you brew it for a while. So that's the pot to brew the tea. This is our cup to serve the tea. And usually they are very, very small. And I have 6 of them because tea ceremony for us is always very social. So you try to give everybody an equal tea. My quiz question for you is, if I have already the pot and the cup, what I need this for? I have this kind of, what's this for? I don't know if people in Japan, do you use it or not? I see. So it's quite special for Chinese tea making because we brew the tea, but we don't want the tea to go too strong because with tea leaf, your tea can get very, very strong. So this is our transitory. It's for transition. So you pour it here, and when it's time for people to drink, then you can serve your guest with this transitionary teapot so that your guests and yourself will not drink too dark, too thick tea. It is for you to control the quality, the level of darkness of the tea. That's the Chinese tea set. I don't know if anybody else want to share a little bit of your tea package, etc. Oh, Helen, you're sharing something. You need to unmute yourself, Helen, and talk.
Hi. My video is really slow. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just about.
Yeah. So this tea caddy I bought in Soho, and it's the London Underground.
Ah.
Yeah. All the stations are here and the colours. My favourite tea caddy.
So with all these boxes, you can put different type of tea. Is that the idea? So it feels like you're traveling to different tube stations in London. Right? Joanna want to show us Tippy. So great. Thank you very much for Judith today and for Tarumi. You worked so well together. We are 1 minute in our finishing time. I think after today, drinking matcha tea, when I see a matcha product, I will have a very different understanding of the product. And I also love the message that tea, in a way, represents certain Zen philosophy. If it's good year, good moment, good day, or if it's bad year, bad day, bad moment, we have to experience it anyway. And many of the wisdom and the philosophies, I know especially for Oriental culture, we say it cannot be just understood by written words, and you have to have a personal, direct experience with it, and you have to feel it with your heart. Actually, Tarumi, you talked about touch the heart. I don't know how many people heard of dim sum for a food, dim sum for Chinese food.
Yeah, of course, we know.
Dim sum in Chinese literally means touching the heart, touch the heart.
Really?
Yes, because food is so good that the food has the power to touch your heart. So food and drinks are always great ambassador for culture. And I'm also going to use the opportunity to advertise for next week's event. Gary has been our long-term member in the group. And through Gary, we met Wilma. Wilma had a really, really interesting life journey. Wilma, do you want to give us a little bit of briefing to talk about next week?
I'll talk about Japan. The first time I was in Japan was 68 years ago.
Wow.
And
Really?
I was 17 years old. It was 1952, the early part of 1952. And I really, really had no idea. I didn't even know where Japan was. And until I got there. And I mean, I really, really just fell in love with Japan and the people. I mean, it was only 6.5 years after the Second World War, and I was just amazed at how nice the Japanese people were to us when we were over there. And I was in Iwakuni, which is in the southern part of Japan. And I assume that's close to where the matcha tea comes from. But nevertheless, next week, Gary and I are going to talk about my journey from the cotton fields of Mississippi to me being a university professor. I'm a professor emeritus of medicine from the University of Florida. So in an hour or a little bit less than an hour, I'll try to tell everyone how I made it from the cotton patch to being a university professor. So so I've just written a book about my life, and it was published in September. So I'm looking forward to telling everyone about my journey from being extremely poor to being able now to afford what I want to. Not extravagant, but we have a comfortable life now.
You can now afford matcha tea.
I can now afford matcha tea, right?
So Wilma is very low profile, very humble, but I know you worked with NASA on Project Mercury, which basically was the first manned spaceship project. And if you watch the movie, if we watch movie Hidden Figures about 3 female mathematicians working with NASA, Wilma literally was working on the same floor near the same building of the prototype of these ladies. And then Nikki went on to be our top scientist, despite you dropped out of high school at a very young age. We thought the 1st of December, where for us in the northern atmosphere, we are getting into quite gloomy winter. Nothing would be a better topic than an inspiring story from Wilma's life story, journey of a cotton picker's son. So with that, thank you very much for coming. Very much grateful to our 2 hosts today, 2 ladies, and our 2 hosts, 2 guys, gentlemen, next week about Wilma's journey, an unbelievable journey. Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.